Hi there, my name is Alan Friedman. I would like to introduce myself. I'm the founder and CEO of Zenco Vibration Experts. I am also a senior instructor at the Mobius Institute. My background, I worked at a company called DLI Engineering, it's now called Azima, from 1991 to 2006. Currently I am a senior instructor for the Mobius Institute, as I mentioned, and I am also the founder and CEO of Zenco, providing on-site training, mentoring, and product development, etc. So when I worked at DLI Engineering, I learned quite a bit about how vibration analysis works. DLI had a very difficult customer, which was the U.S. Navy. U.S. Navy ships travel all around the world. You never know where they're going to be. They also have crews that change all the time. So how do you manage measuring a large quantity of rotating machineries on ships that are all over the place with constantly changing crews and also get very good results? Well, this is one of the things that I learned how to do when I was at DLI. Also when I was at DLI, when somebody purchased a vibration data collector and software, I was one of the people who went on site and helped them set up the program. And then when I was back in the office, I would do customer support. And having been at that company for 15 years, what I got to see is which programs succeeded and which programs failed. Now, it's one thing to walk up to a machine, put a sensor on it, measure some vibration, display that in some software on a screen, and analyze the data. Pretty much any product on the market can give you the capability to do that, but that's very different from analyzing 1,000 machines a month in a very efficient and accurate way. And that's one of my skills, is how to do that. And one of the things I learned is that it's really not as much about analysis as you would think. It's much more about program management. And I have put this together in the form of what I call the 10 components of a successful program. And what I found is that a successful program has to have all of these components in place. The first thing is to understand the goals. So why are we doing this in the first place? What are we hoping to achieve? And our goals really have to be clearly defined and achievable. Also, as our program matures, our goals might change, so we should keep checking in with that. We need the right people for the job. That includes the right leaders. It also includes the right people taking the measurements, the right people doing the analysis. And these people have to be in alignment with the goals. They have to understand what they're trying to achieve. Additionally, you have to have the right tools. Again, anyone can take a vibration spectrum, anyone can display it on a screen, but that's very different from managing a large program. And the tools have to be right for the people. So if you have people whose education level is not so high, they might be more successful with a more simple tool. It really depends on the goals and the situation. You just have to have the right tool for the job. When it comes to the machinery, you have to have right understanding. So again, why are you testing this machine? How reliable has it been in the past? How critical is it? How does it fail? What are the various failure modes? Does the machine give you an indication when it begins to fail? For example, does it vibrate differently? That kind of tells us what we're looking for. So when you analyze data, you're not just looking at some data on a screen trying to figure out what it means. You actually begin with the machine and you understand its failure modes and you set up particular tests in order to measure those failure modes. And when you're doing analysis, essentially, you're just looking to see if those failure modes exist or not. So with data collection, the data has to be taken correctly. It has to be taken at the right time to detect the fault. You need the right type of sensors. You need to mount the sensors correctly. And most importantly, you need repeatability, meaning it shouldn't matter who takes the reading or when they take it. It should be done in exactly the same way. And that was a very important part for this Navy program that I mentioned. These contracts have been in place for a very long time, over 20-something years. And today, the machines are tested exactly the same way they were tested 25 years ago, even though there's been hundreds of different people in the role of data collector. When it comes to analysis, there's a right way to do this as well. We're trying to turn this data into a diagnosis or into usable information or actionable information. When we create a report, that report has to get to the right people. Those people have to know what to do with that report. So how does that report align with our goals? How does this report help us to make better decisions about when to overhaul a machine and how to avoid risk? We also have to have right follow-up and review. So how do we know if we're doing a good job? We have to audit our program. We have to have what are called KPIs or key performance indicators to know if we're getting any benefit. These need to be technical and they also need to be financial. A successful program should give you about a 20 to a 30 to 1 return on investment. So every dollar you spend, you should get $20 to $30 back. Okay, and if you're not getting that, you're probably doing something wrong. Now, all of the things I've mentioned so far, all these 10 components, are all tied together by processes and procedures. So it's not really about some expert who is really good at analysis and they're going to take the data and set up a special test and try to figure out what the problem is. That's called troubleshooting. That's part of reactive maintenance. And although that can be beneficial at some times, it's better to never get in that position. If you're doing good condition-based maintenance, or CBM, the idea is to know that you have a problem with your machine a long time in advance of it failing, so you never have an emergency, you never have to troubleshoot it. So anyway, all of this requires processes and procedures to be in place to tie all these 10 components together. And what I found in over 27 years in this field is that some organizations get it. They get a lot of benefit from their CBM programs. Again, you should be getting about a 20 to a 30 to 1 return on investment. But unfortunately, what I found is most programs fail. In fact, I'd say on average about 70% of programs out there are just throwing away money. They're not getting the benefits they should. And this kind of bothers me because we've known how to do this for well over 40 years. We know how to collect the data, we know how to run a successful program, we know how to get rewards from it. So why are so many programs failing? And that bothered me enough that I actually wrote a book about how to improve your program, how to figure out if you are getting any benefit today, and how to improve it in the future. And you can purchase this book on Amazon.com. So that's all I wanted to say. This is my contact information. I'm available for on-site mentoring and training, also for Mobius Institute certification courses. And please connect to me on LinkedIn, and thank you very much.